this young man is. Here he is, 16, riding his bike all around town. I want to know where he is. We didn't have cell phones at that time.
Right.
And so he said, okay, and he carried his radio with him on his bike all the time. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take my exam. So I studied and I went down the Cape and they ran what they call a tech in a weekend. So I studied that as well. And then took my exam after the weekend and passed the exam, and then I got my call sign. The very funny thing with the call sign is, as you can see, my call sign is KB1 FVN, Foxtrot Victor November. We also use the
phonetic alphabet.
Phonetic alphabet, yeah. So anyway, my son, who took it 6 months prior to it, his call sign is KB1FJN.
One letter off.
One letter off.
Yeah.
So
Very strange.
How it
Yeah.
basically works, you take a test, a group of volunteer examiners will grade the test, and send it into the FCC. And once it's approved by the FCC issues you your call sign. It's randomly generated, and it's on a website, so.
How weird is that?
Yeah, exactly.
And the other
Right.
thing is,
It's like
Phil's
mine
call
is
sign,
CYO.
CYO, and
Yeah.
he coached CYO
Basketball for
women's
years.
basketball.
Yeah.
for
So it was
20
like, all right,
years.
I'm keeping, because
Keep it this, right.
you can pay the FCC and get a,
Fancy one.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Like a license plate.
like a
Yeah.
license plate, same thing, vanity call. I'm
Right.
like, no, that's fine, CYO is good.
That's perfect, yeah.
Okay. And your son, you said that he still uses it to this day?
Absolutely,
Yep,
he's
he's up in-
fire chief up in Vermont, and
One's up.
they use it because, also, the other thing with being in Vermont, they have mountains.
Right.
And the cell phone situation is not the best. If he's driving along, there'll be many times where it totally cuts out. And so the amateur radio system has many towers in the area, and he can just go from one repeater, which is by the tower, and from one repeater to the next repeater, and continue his conversation with someone who he is working with.
How you guys doing
Say
out
there's
there?
a disaster somewhere he has to go.
Thank you.
And,
Back to one.
continue the conversation safely.
Okay. Have you guys ever helped out from your own with? Yeah.
Hello, I don't know how to reply on the YouTube why, but we are on Foxboro Cable Access. Producing 2 TV shows today, go around Foxboro, and very exciting guests. And it's go around Foxboro. The website is scatv.org, and this is the studio.
We have friends that we were not involved with this, but I knew a lot of friends who were called in, who went to New York after 9/11, because New York's communication center was on one of those towers. So all the communications so they brought in hams who had been either from Red Cross or from Aries from different states. And they went down and they were doing dispatch until they got up the railroad communication center up. So things like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think about it, it's
No,
like,
you
you know,
don't.
the police is always on, you know, well, guess what?
Right.
You know,
When something tragedy happens like that.
yeah.
Part of it too, we also do like a
Two
lot
is on.
of practice things, which can be a lot of fun.
Well,
Um,
we've got the pub out
and
there.
there are a
Use it.
lot of, there's even a women's group,
Back to one.
the young ladies of amateur radio. And they have what we call a net. And Thursday mornings, you can get on and I can talk to Wyoming, I can talk to New York, and another lady I know very well in Avon that I talk to.
So,
It's a lot of community too.
yes,
Yeah.
a lot of communities.
Yeah.
So just to know what a net is, a net is just an on-air meeting.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'm in my back room
Yeah.
on my radio at a certain time, on a certain frequency, along with a bunch of other people. And there's some
Shout
on
out
there.
to Salty.
The moderator, it's like you're moderating this
Yeah.
meeting.
Three
That's what they
pancake.
do. So, and
Yes.
they go around, and they'll go around and they'll check in. And there's nets, there's a net tonight at 8 o'clock on the Walpole machine. There's a net on Sunday night on the same Walpole machine. Bridgewater machine has a net every Tuesday night. The Norwood machine has a net every Tuesday night. So there's a lot of activity.
Paxton has one
Yeah.
every night,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, so you
Oh,
can get on
and
there.
all for different reasons.
Yes.
The Norwood one and Tuesday night is a club, the club guys,
Okay.
and they just
Yeah.
talk about what's happening this week, how they doing.
Right,
You know, the Sunday night net is an emergency management night, emergency preparedness net, so we talk about how we use our radios, well, we're gonna plan for some storms, they got the weather coming up, did you do the switch over in your car from the summer to the winter?
right,
You know,
right,
it's stuff that you say, oh, okay, but we also were practicing using the radios.
right,
And
yeah, that's gotta be huge,
because it's,
It
if
is.
Right.
building
because you
one
wanna know
of
it
these,
works when you really
when
need
you
it.
really need it, right,
so we use it on these drills and these nets, and you break it out and you just, I can quickly walk through what it is.
right.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that'd be great.
Yeah, so we're down here in the lower section,
You can zoom in
is
a
the
bit.
main radio. This is a 2-meter
down,
440
zoom in.
radio, which means it
Slow
works on
down,
a 2-meter
zoom in
band.
now.
And you made this all on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on some of the other guys who helped me.
Yeah, right.
The head of the radio is here, this is the control.
Hold.
This is a distribution, so I could hook up several other radios to this base, and I could actually spread out if need be,
Mhm.
if we had a situation where, this is
This is great.
what is known as a
Thank you.
power gate,
Being there.
and in here is a regular power supply and a battery. And what the power gate does is when the power supply is plugged in, it supplies power to the
Ready for it.
radio so I can use the radio,
Mhm.
but it also providing power to the battery, and it acts like a
Gotcha.
computer APC. So if the AC power goes away, I will still run because I now have a battery built into this.
Okay,
And I
gotcha.
can run
Back
for
and forth.
about 6 hours with this battery.
With the battery?
Yeah.
Okay,
Horizontal.
And then, of course, there's a
Two,
voltage meter that tells me what kind of current I'm drawing, so I can be technical to see how good my system is running.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's,
And a microphone.
yeah, right, you gotta have your mic.
Now, you brought a couple of other ones as well.
Yes, so
This looks like a little cheaper way maybe to get into it.
this is
Yes.
exactly,
Yeah,
That's why I wanted him to bring
Yeah.
the lesser
so
expensive.
this is what is known as a Bowfang.
Can you
Okay.
put the cover
These-
down maybe so they
No,
can
they-
see it?
They can see it.
Okay.
The Bowfang is just like anything these days, is a Chinese-made radio.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you can get these on Amazon, they generally run like $35, $40.
Okay,
I'll
So,
stay on forward.
These are nice to have, so like this past weekend was a big amateur radio weekend. Communication was provided for the head of the Charles, over 300 operators.
Yep.
So if you're working the head of the Charles, half of the assignments are on a boat. If you drop your radio that's $300 into the Charles, you're not gonna be happy.
no, right.
You drop your $30
Not the end of the
Bowfang, it's
world.
like, exactly, not at the end of the world. There's limitations to what this can do. It's smaller antenna,
Ready, one.
its range is
One could tilt up
limited,
just
the
a
battery
bit,
only
too,
lasts so
just
much.
more
But
heavier
to
one
get
down,
you in to
down.
understand how to use a
Tilt
radio,
up just a bit.
Yeah.
Up, up, up.
it's perfect.
Yeah,
Here you
low
go.
cost of
Low
entry.
One's
cost,
up.
low cost entry.
This is a little high.
Higher end. We don't wanna drop that.
We don't wanna drop
No.
this. This is an ICOM. This is an FM radio. It's also a digital radio. It
Ready
does
for it.
digital transmission. It will take your GPS signal and I can mount, it has a way of transmitting a GPS location onto a map and all this other stuff, so you can actually see where you are.
One.
We use that function every spring
on.
down in Rhode Island for the Ride the Road event, which is a muscular
Ready, one.
dystrophy
One, take one.
um, fundraiser.
I wish you
It
did
is a
close the
100-mile
front. That's okay.
bicycle ride.
Live.
So we have what is known as SAG wagons, the cars.
Yeah.
Support and gear.
Yep.
And we'll put a APRS system on the SAG wagons so that the central command will know where the wagons are on the course. And if somebody calls up and says, I got a flat tire and I'm between water stop 2 and 3,
Mhm.
and we'll go, oh, we have a SAG wagon at 2. We call them up on the radio and say, hey, you got a bike number 12 is broken down Go get them.
So we have one person, we have two people in the SAG rig, and one person's the driver,
Yeah,
and usually has some understanding of how to fix a bike.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and myself, an amateur radio operator,
Yeah.
so I've done SAG
One could type
many
Okay.
times as the amateur radio
Zoom in a
operator.
little bit.
Now, do you guys have like a favorite thing that you've done over the years?
Freeze on.
Favorite thing.
Favorite thing?
Field day?
Yeah, field day would
One-
be fixed.
one
Yeah.
thing
Okay,
we
so
did
field
was
day, as with any group and organization, you have a national organization.
tilt out just a
National
bit.
organization is
There you go.
the ARRL,
And one.
American Radio Relay League. And it's out of Newington, Connecticut. And they sponsor an event, a 24-hour event in the spring, where you take your radio
For,
out of your house,
sorry,
and you go to a
pull back
field
just a little
or
bit, show more of
a
the case.